Imagine Earth's absolute last hope, like a 31st century, highly advanced tactical war machine, right? And it's built with the sole purpose of saving humanity from just, total extinction.
Right, the pinnacle of military engineering.
Exactly. But now, and this is where it gets crazy, imagine that exact same weapon has fuzzy dice hanging from the rearview mirror. It sports this custom flame paint job, and it smells overwhelmingly of stale Philly cheesesteak.
Which is just, it's an absurd image, but as the data you provided proves, it's also somehow the most lethal combination in the known.
Yeah, it really is. So welcome back to today's deep dive, everyone. And a special welcome to you, the listener, because you handed us this massive, just gigantic archive of transcripts, combat data, visual logs, all detailing the Megas XLR saga.
And we have been utterly consumed by it. It's fascinating.
Oh, completely. So the baseline tragedy here, right? We're in the year 3012. Earth is losing this desperate, horrific war against a hostile alien race called the Glorft.
Right, the Glorft.
Yeah. And Commander Kiva steals this prototype time-traveling mech called Megas, intending to jump back to a pivotal battle. But the mission just catastrophically misfires. The mech ends up stranded in the 1930s.
Way off target.
Way off. It sits in a junkyard for decades, just collecting rust, until it's finally discovered in 20th century Jersey City by a guy named Coop, and he buys humanity's greatest weapon for $2.
$2.
Yeah.
That is exactly where the narrative pivots, right? It goes from a traditional grim military tragedy into something entirely unprecedented.
Yeah, totally.
Because looking at the combat data you provided, our mission today isn't to just, recite who shot what laser at which alien. We're going to deconstruct the intersection of highly advanced extraterrestrial technology and mundane working class American culture.
Which is such a wild clash.
It really is. We're looking at the philosophy of improvised engineering, the utter destruction of classic science fiction tropes, and a surprisingly profound meditation on the true nature of heroism.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right out of the gate, we have to look at the people in the cockpit, right? This central trio completely rewrites the rules of intergalactic warfare.
Oh, absolutely. They shouldn't work together at all.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got Commander Kiva, Coop, and his buddy Jamie. And looking at their psychological profiles and the sources you give us, this team fundamentally shouldn't be able to function.
They represent a profound culture clash. On one side, you have Commander Kiva, and she is the absolute epitome of military discipline.
I completely buy the book.
Right. She's a highly trained operative from a ruined future. To her, the Megas mech is not a vehicle, It is a sacred tactical asset. She carries the psychological weight of billions of lives.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, her entire worldview is built on logic, efficiency, and the really heavy burden.
And then you have Coop.
Right. Cool.
Calling him a slacker almost feels like an understatement, doesn't it?
It's inadequate, yeah.
He's the ultimate embodiment of pure, unadulterated ID, pure appetite. His decisions aren't driven by logic or duty. They are driven entirely by what he wants in that exact second.
Whatever his immediate impulses.
Exactly. He cares about eating hot dogs, drinking these gallons of what he literally calls stratospheric strawberry slime, mega slushes.
Which sound awful, by the way.
Oh, so gross. But he loves them. And he loves playing video games, watching monster truck rallies. He has zero interest in the universe outside of his immediate comfort zone.
And Jamie, his sidekick, is somehow even less helpful.
Oh my gosh, Jamie.
He mostly just views this hyper-advanced combat robot as a loud, flashy way to try and impress women.
Which never works.
Yeah.
Never. So Kiva understands this grim, high-stakes reality of the cosmos, right? While Coop just treats a machine capable of leveling star systems exactly like a busted hot rod in his garage.
Which is wild.
It is. The modifications he makes to this machine before Kiva even finds it are staggering. She tracks Megas down the present day, expecting to find her pristine war machine.
Right, the savior of humanity.
Yeah. But instead, she finds that Coop has completely decapitated it. He ripped off the mech's original head and replaced it with a classic American muscle car.
That is the control center now. A car.
A literal car. He dropped a custom, a 671 Jimmy engine into it. He rigged up a 10 CD changer, and he painted massive hot rod flames on the armor.
Because of course he did.
But the ultimate insult, right? When Kiva demands the robot back so she can return to the future and save Earth, she realizes they can't.
Because of the time flux.
Because Coop completely destroyed the time flux unit.
He stripped it out.
He just took it out. He couldn't get the muscle car integrated into the robot system, so he just yanked out the most advanced piece of temporal technology ever conceived.
Just tossed it.
because it was in the way of his custom steering column. I mean, he grounded humanity's only salvation for aesthetic.
Which forces Kiva into an impossible situation. She cannot pilot the mech anymore because Coop's modifications are so bizarrely...
She's locked out of her own machine.
Exactly. She is trapped in the 21st century, relying entirely on a pilot who doesn't even comprehend the war they are fighting.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is the part of the combat logs that I keep getting stuck on, honestly.
Right.
Get the element of surprise, okay? Handing the keys of an apocalyptic war machine to a guy who drives it like a stolen sedan that's going to catch the enemy off guard the first time.
Sure, the first time.
But we're talking about the Glorft here, a species capable of interstellar travel and temporal mechanics. Surely their practical computers can adapt to Coop using professional wrestling moves on their war mech after the first encounter, right?
You would think so.
I mean, how is he surviving the second fight, let alone actually winning a war? Isn't giving Coop this machine the equivalent of handing the launch codes of a nuclear submarine to a toddler?
Well, what's fascinating here is that this supposed incompetence is actually a massive tactical advantage.
Wait, really? How does that work?
It's a brilliant question, actually. And to understand it, we have to look at the nature of Glorft intelligence. The Glorft, who are led by War Master Gorath, operate on highly advanced predictive algorithms.
Okay, so they're all math and prob.
Exactly. Their military strategy is 1,000 years more advanced than ours. They calculate trajectories, they analyze logical risk-reward scenarios, and they execute flawless precision strikes.
Right.
But Coop isn't playing chess while Gorath plays checkers. Coop has walked up to the chessboard, eaten the knight, flipped the table entirely, and demanded to know where the nearest arcade.
They can't compute the move because he isn't even playing the same game.
Exactly. The Glorft algorithms completely break down because Coop's inputs are fundamentally irrational. How does a supercomputer anticipate the maneuvers of an adversary who completely abandons a defensive flank just because he saw a billboard for a discount meatball sub?
Oh my gosh, that's right. He literally stops fighting to go get food.
Right. The Glorft expect a pilot to protect the mech's vital system, but Coop will deliberately expose his flank if it means protecting the custom paint job on his muscle car.
Because he spent a lot of time on those.
Exactly. Gorath's tactics are entirely useless against a pilot whose primary combat directive, don't spill my... So Coop's sheer, maddening unpredictability renders a millennium of alien military doctrine completely obsolete.
It's brilliant. His incompetence is his armor. I love that. And what's wild is that this chaotic unpredictability isn't just how he fights, right? It extends directly to how he physically interfaces with the technology.
Oh, the engineering side of things is a whole other level of chaos.
Which leads perfectly into the mechanics of his engineering. The engineering logs you shared with us introduce this absurdist philosophy of improvised mechanics that practically gave Kiva an aneurysm.
We see this persistent theme of Coop modifying and quote-unquote repairing incredibly fragile future tech using junk, duct tape, and whatever is in his pocket.
The examples are hysterical. I mean, there's a log from a local car show, right? One of the mech's core components burns out, and Kiva is panicking because obviously they don't have access to 31st century manufacturing.
Right, they're stranded.
But Coop literally replaces a burned out CPU core with a piece of cheese, a slice of cheese.
Specifically, he uses it to replace the deuteronium isolinear actuator.
Right, and the mech actually turns on. I mean, it goes completely haywire and nearly destroys the entire auto show, but the fact remains, the cheese conducted the signal. I mean, how does that even work from an engineering standpoint? It's dairy.
Think about what that implies about 31st century biosphere, though.
Okay.
Kiva's technology is so advanced it has likely moved far beyond rigid silicons, right? If an organic, fat-heavy, compound-like cheese can temporarily bridge the connection of a deuteronium actuator, it suggests the technology relies on fluid, biological...
Oh, wow. So he just accidentally hacked it.
Exactly. Without realizing it, Coop stumbled onto a highly complex biohack. He didn't understand the physics at all. He just saw a slot that looked like it needed a wedge, and he had a wedge of cheese.
That is just, it's so dumb, but so smart.
Yeah.
And the craziest part is that it doesn't stop there. Like, there's the incident on the junk planet.
Oh, the photonic stabilizer.
Yes, Megas sustains critical damage, and the photonic stabilizer is going into a full nuclear meltdown. And this is a component that regulates the core energy of the mech.
Right.
If it blows, it's going to vaporize a 100-mile radius. Like, it's a huge deal. Kiva, with all her theoretical knowledge, declares it unfixable without a specialized lab.
Because she knows the math.
Right. But Coop,
Mm-hmm.
Coop just crawls in there with nothing but what's in his pockets. He works entirely off-screen for a few minutes, and the meltdown stops.
Stops.
And when Kiva demands to know what complex bypass he performed, he just shrugs and says, when in doubt, duct it.
He literally used duct tape on a nuclear future reactor. Which touches on a very real engineering debate, actually. The tension between extreme optimization and crude redundancy.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean?
Well, Kiva's understanding of the mech is theoretical and precise. 31st century tech is highly optimized, which also makes it incredibly fragile. If one micro-calibration is off, the whole system halts.
Because it's too perfect.
Exactly. Coop, on the other hand, operates on gearhead intuition. He introduces crude redundancy. He doesn't view the stabilizer as a delicate quantum physics. He views it like a loose muffler.
Okay, so wait, is Coop actually a mechanical genius? Or is the technology of the future just surprisingly resilient to his abuse?
I think Coop's lack of reverence for the machine is precisely why he leads.
How so?
Because he isn't bound by the operational manuals of the future, right?
Right?
He doesn't view the duotronium isolinear actuator as a fragile science. To him, it's just another car part. So he isn't afraid to bash it into place.
He just forced...
Right. He forces the technology past its programmed safety. The machinery is robust, yes, but it requires a human element, chaotic, uninhibited human, to unlock its full potential. It's a testament to human intuition overriding programmed.
I love that. But here's where it gets really interesting. That exact same chaotic intuition that saves them is also a total nightmare for the local infrastructure.
Oh, the property damage.
Yeah. If we look at the collateral damage assessments in these logs, the scale of destruction Coop causes is astronomical, often vastly worse than the damage the villains were actually threatening to cause.
The property damage is truly staggering. But what makes it fascinating is the contrast between the apocalyptic scale of his fights and the absolute banality of him.
Yes. Let's talk about the TV-eating planet incident, because this is the perfect example. A massive, sentient, planet-sized entity enters the solar system, right? And it sustains itself by consuming radio and television broadcast, and is heading straight for Earth. This is a cosmic horror scenario. Entire city, moons, planets are sacrificed all the time in these laws.
It's an entity that devours human culture and communication, a terrifying threat.
A massive threat. But Coop doesn't care about the philosophical implications of humanity losing its history. He doesn't even care that the planet might physically crash into Earth.
No.
He only intervenes because the entity's gravity field knocked out his cable television right at the exact moment he was sitting down to watch Millennium Match.
The professional wrestling pay-per-view?
Yes, a wrestling match. He is enraged, not because of impending doom, but because he is missing his show. So he flies a giant robot straight into the stomach of this planetary beast.
And his solution for destroying it is equally
Right. How does he destroy it? He feeds it junk food. He literally launches the mech's payload of rock pops and an EMP torpedo that he disguised to look like a refrigerator full of cupcakes and pizza directly into its core.
And the beast overloads on the artificial junk data and explodes. The threat is neutralized.
Neutralized, sure.
Yeah.
But the debris rains down, and he probably leveled half a state in the process.
Less likely, yeah.
Or, oh man, let's talk about the DMV incident.
The classic.
Which might be my favorite log in the whole stack. Megas gets towed. Why? Because Coop Parallel parked a 100-foot-tall combat mech illegally in front of a fire hydrant while he ran into a convenience store to buy snacks.
Just casually leaving it there.
Right. And to get his robot out of the city impound lot, the clerk tells him he needs a valid license, but it's expired 17 months ago. So he is forced to take a driving test in a tiny commuter car with a terrifying DMV instructor.
A profoundly relatable human nightmare, honestly.
Exactly. We've all been there. But right in the middle of his parallel parking exam, an intergalactic alien bounty hunter lands in Jersey City to kidnap Kiva.
As one does during a driving test.
Right. And Coop is so hyper-focused on not failing his driving test that he treats this lethal alien assassin as just like a minor traffic op.
He doesn't even step out of the car.
No. He ends up fighting the bounty hunter while trying to keep both hands on the steering wheel. He's completely leveling several city blocks. He's crushing overpasses. He destroys the alien ship, all while apologizing to the DMV instructor for a bumpy ride.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, he contextualizes a life-or-death alien invasion entirely through the lens of a bureaucratic...
It's hilarious. And we can't ignore what he did to the actual moon.
Oh, poor Earth.
Yeah, he's forced to babysit his younger, incredibly annoying cousin Skippy, and they get bored hanging out in the garage, so Coop decides the logical way to kill time is to fly his nuclear-powered robot to the moon.
Because why not?
Right. When they land, they discover the Glorft are secretly building a massive propulsion engine into the lunar crust. They're planning to physically crash the moon into Earth.
A huge apocalyptic threat.
Huge. So Coop fights them off, naturally. But during the fight, Skippy is messing around in the cockpit and hits the weapon system. They end up blowing a massive continent-sized chunk out of the moon.
Just a chunk of it gone.
Gone. They permanently alter the Earth's tidal ecosystem, all because Coop was bored Well, baby.
You know, these logs fundamentally mock the traditional hero's journey that we see in almost all speculative fiction.
How so?
Well, a traditional hero is called to action by a noble sense of purpose, right? They sacrifice their personal desires for the greater good, but Coop is the exact inversion of that. He never sets out to save the world. The world just happens to be where he keeps his stuff.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. He doesn't save the city, he saves his favorite piece of art, and the city just happens to survive by proxy.
Exactly.
He's like a hurricane that happens to only target the bad guys. You're glad the bad guys are gone, but you still don't have a house left at the end of the day.
That's a great analogy. And this unique brand of heroism stands in sharp contrast to the traditional heroes that populate the rest of this universe. Which brings us to a crucial friction. How the source material actively deconstructs classic sci-fi tropes.
Oh, the secondary characters in these logs are brilliant. The sources introduce this wide variety of secondary characters that act as direct, walking parodies of established science fiction and anime tropes.
And all of them are utterly baffled by Coop.
Completely baffled. Watching them try to interact with a guy from Jersey is hilarious. Let's look at the S. This is a direct deconstruction of those color-coded five-person You know the ones, they shout their attacks, they wear matching spandex, they pose dramatically.
Right. They operate on a strict set of narrative rules. There is a sociology to their existence. They assume combat involves mutual respect, long monologues, and a gradual escalation.
Right. So the S-Force arrives to protect a frozen planet, and they immediately target Coop.
Of course they do.
Because Coop is currently winning an intergalactic hot dog eating contest. And every time he burps, the sonic wave from the mech shatters a glacier.
Which looks incredibly villainous.
It does. The S-Force looks at this gluttonous, destructive force and assumes he must be the ultimate villain. So they do what Sentai teams do. They launch into their noble speeches, their shiny uniforms glimmer, and they initiate a massive 5-minute-long sequence where their individual ships combine to form the giant robot.
A sequence that traditionally the villain politely waits for them to finish.
Right. But Coop isn't a traditional villain, and he definitely doesn't care about the etiquette of the genre.
Not at all.
While they are mid-speech, slowly locking their shiny robot parts together, Coop just walks over and punches them in the face.
He just punches them.
He knocks their half-formed robot into a mountain. He completely short-circuits the trope, and the irony is he ultimately saves the S-Force from their actual arch-nemesis, this dark lord named Ender.
And how does he do that?
By casually causing two black holes to eat each other while he's looking for a bath.
It's just brilliant writing. And we see the same deconstruction with Captain Warlock. He represents the romanticized space opera hero. He flies a majestic galleon through the stars, saving grace.
He wears a billowing cape.
He wears a cape, he speaks in poetic meter, and he attempts to woo Kiva with his dramatic bravado.
Right. He tells Kiva that he alone possesses the noble spirit required to defeat the dreaded Hognet aliens, this terrifying swarm that has plagued the galaxy.
And while Warlock is reciting poetry about his destiny, what is Coop doing?
Coop effortlessly crushes the entire Hognet armada using the mech's windshield wipers because he was trying to find a planet that sells synthetic motor oil.
Exactly. And then there's Magnanimous, which is a fantastic trope breakdown. He's the classic brain over brawn villain. He's literally a giant floating head with tiny, useless limbs, very MODOKS.
Yeah, and he runs the Galactic Combat Championship Federation.
Right. He relies entirely on convoluted death traps, intellectual superiority, and grand monologue, which makes it incredibly insulting when Coop, who possesses almost zero intellectual superiority, completely dismantles his death traps.
Oh, the way he beats him is so funny. He uses a customized video game controller to input old 16-bit cheat codes into his mech's dashboard.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
Exactly. He uses video game logic to steal Magnanimous's championship belt. It's amazing.
But these encounters raise a fascinating psychological point. You see, the S-Force has flawless teamwork. Captain Warlock has majestic charm. Magnanimous has unmatched intellect. Yet they all fail where Coop's...
It's almost as if, and I was wondering this while reading, is the universe itself punishing these traditional archetypes? Like, is the cosmos just tired of the dramatic monologues and just wants someone to throw a punch?
I really believe it is. The narrative champions the everyman over the chosen. The universe doesn't need a prophesied hero who follows the rule. The universe is inherently messy, unpredictable, and violent.
So the rigid rules just don't work.
Right. The rigid precision of the S-Force or the theatrical romance of Captain Warlock simply cannot adapt to the chaotic reality of survival. It requires someone too stubborn, too hungry, and too unapologetically themselves to ever compromise.
Okay, but that raises a terrifying hypothetical.
What's that?
If Coop's incompetence is his greatest weapon, what happens if you fix...
Oh, I see where you're going.
Right. What if Kiva actually succeeded in her mission? What if she trained him, taught him military discipline, and made him take the war seriously? Wouldn't that make him the ultimate savior of the universe?
No, it makes him a monster. And the final logs in this archive prove it.
Yes. This pivots us perfectly, stating that the ultimate test of Coop's character comes when he is forced to face the exact opposite of
The multiversal madness.
Exactly. This brings us to the climax of the deep dive, the multiversal madness and the true nature of good. The logs you shared get incredibly dark toward the end, specifically when they start dealing with alternate timelines and time travel consequences.
We see the Glorft attempt to rewrite history. War Master Gorath initiates a sort of Terminator-style plot.
Oh, this was wild.
He travels back to the 1980s to a rock con. His goal is to eliminate a teenage girl who happens to be Kiva's great-great-grandma. The logic is totally sound. Kill the ancestor, Kiva is never born, Mecha is stolen, the Glorft win.
But the plan devolves into total chaos.
Yeah.
Why? Because Jamie tries to flirt with the ancestor, and Coop ends up fighting an army of Glorft mech inside a heavy metal mosh pit.
Which is a brilliant tactical failure on Gorath's part.
Right. But the true philosophical core of this saga, the absolute peak of the narrative, is found in the rearview mirror incident.
The alternate dimension.
Yeah. Coop is messing with the mech's transdimensional drive. And why is he messing with it? To try and get better satellite reception for his TV.
Naturally.
Right. And he accidentally rips open a portal. The trio gets sucked into an alternate Earth. But the Earth they find isn't just damaged. It is a smoking, ruined, dystopian wasteland.
It's completely dusty.
And they eventually track down the alternate version of Jamie. But in this reality, Jamie isn't a cowardly sidekick. He is a hardened, heavily armed, highly competent resistance leader fighting a guerrilla war. He's an evil warlord, essentially.
And when our Coop asks Jamie what happened, assuming obviously that the Glorft destroyed the planet, Jamie reveals the chill.
Yeah, the Glorft didn't destroy Earth. The alternate version of Coop did.
We have to unpack the psychology of this divergence because the reveal of evil Coop is incredible.
Our Coop comes face to face with his variant, and the visual differences tell the whole story.
They really do. Evil Coop is wearing sleek, menacing dark armor. He is cold, calculating, and worst of all to our, he's skinny.
He's skinny, he is entirely evil and physically fit.
Which is horrifying to our Coop.
Yeah.
In this alternate dimension, Coop also found the Megasmech. He also fought the Glorf. But unlike our Coop, who defeats an armada and then immediately goes home to eat pizza, the alternate Coop took the war seriously.
He actually listened to Kiva.
Right. He internalized Kiva's military mindset. He realized his own power, and he became to the conquest. He defeated the Glorft, but he kept fighting. He didn't stop there.
He just kept going.
He decided the only way to protect the universe was to rule. He conquered everything, systematically crushing all opposition, and in doing so, he lost every shred of his...
And what absolutely horrifies our good Coop isn't just the planetary destruction.
No, it's much more personal than that.
The ultimate betrayal is what evil Coop did to the mech. Evil Coop removed the classic muscle car head. He abandoned the car entirely because it was tactically obsolete and replaced it with a sleek, heavily armored combat mod.
Which just destroys good Coop.
He loses his mind. When good Coop sees that, he is genuinely sickened, not just by the genocide, but by the fact that his counterpart abandoned his beloved ride and lost his appetite for cheesesteaks.
It forces our Coop, for the first time, to look in a mirror and see the terrifying potential of what comes, stripped away his mundane desire.
It's a bizarre funhouse mirror. Good Coop points at evil Coop and screams, "The only thing I hate more than you is me. I mean, you."
He's so confused but so angry.
Yeah. And the existential threat is so severe that good Coop is forced to do the unthinkable. He actively seeks out the alternate dimension's version of War Master Gorath, his mortal enemy, and proposes an alliance.
An alliance with the Glorft.
Good Coop teams up with the Glorft to defeat his own variant.
This raises an important question. What is the actual anchor of Coop's morality? We have spent this entire discussion dissecting his flaws, right?
Yeah, his gluttony, his laziness, his complete disregard for collateral damage.
His selfishness. But when confronted with a version of himself who surgically removed all of those flaws to become a perfect soldier, the revelation is profound.
His flaws are his anchor.
Precisely. It is his vices, his obsessive love for junk food, his desperate need to play video games, his desire to just sit on the couch and hang out with his friends that keep him tethered to his humanity.
To keep him grounded.
The moment alternate Coop lost his mundane desire, the moment he stopped caring about Philly cheesesteaks and focused entirely on the grim reality of efficiency in war, he became an unstoppable leader.
So his laziness is literally the only thing preventing him from becoming a galactic dictator.
That's exactly it.
That is just, that's a staggering narrative subversion. I mean, wow. So as we circle back to you, the listener, and summarize this massive archive you've shared with us, what does this all mean?
It's been quite a journey.
We've journeyed through the sheer chaotic joy and the underlying brilliance of the Mega's XLR sock. This is a story where the absolute fate of the cosmos hangs entirely on a video game-playing slacker whose greatest weapons are a complete lack of common sense and an overwhelming appetite.
But beneath the absurdity, beneath the millions of dollars in property damage and the endless consumption of strawberry mega slushes, there is a strangely beautiful, comforting message. You not need to be a perfectly trained, flawless paragon of virtue to make a different world. Sometimes, just stubbornly defending your hometown and your favorite convenience store is enough to save humanity. Your flaws do not disqualify you from heroism. In some cases, they are the very things that prevent you from becoming the villain.
Which leaves me with a final, lingering question for you to ponder long after this deep dive ends. Think about the timeline you provided in the source. Megas originally belonged to the hyperlogical Glorft, right?
Yes.
It was stolen by the equally logical Kiva. It was accidentally sent back in time, discovered by the most illogical human alive, modified with a muscle car, and is now the only thing keeping the space-time continuum intact against constant multiversal threats.
It's a closed temporal loop of chaos.
Right, so isn't it entirely possible that Coop's presence in the pilot seat isn't a historical accident at all?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
What if the universe actively requires a chaotic anomaly to prevent the hyperlogical factions of the future from stagnating into endless, unwinnable war?
Unnecessary
If the future is nothing but hyperlogical factions fighting wars of precision, maybe the cosmos itself orchestrated, maybe. In a universe dictated by sterile tactical maps and predictive algorithms, the only thing that can actually break a millennium-long stalemate is a guy who fights with a broken video game controller.
He is the necessary entropy, the ghost in the mission.
Exact. Thank you so much for sharing this incredible stack of sources for today's deep dive. Deconstructing this has been an absolute blast. Keep your intrinsic shielding up, keep your CD changer fully loaded, and we'll see you on the next exploration.